back to the channel, Capri Social Network. I'm your host, Capri, aka Cap, and in today's video, I want to talk about something that a whole lot of y'all gonna look at as a touchy subject on behalf of how so many of you always take offense to anytime you may look at certain things that's offensive about what's said about y'all mama. Well, let me rephrase that. Anytime the majority of us may take offense to certain things that's always said about our mamas, we always want to be so retaliatory towards the other person, as opposed to anytime the same exact things that we may hear about our fathers that we may consider as insults, we really don't consider insults. Because I think about the times back when I was in my much younger days throughout school, how it may be a person, a fellow student of mine, a classmate, to talk about the other one mama, and the one, whichever other classmate would hear the insult or joke about his mama, would always be in the mood to fight the other person that may have said whatever he may have found offensive about his mama, even if it may have not been true. But anytime the same student may have said something about the other student or classmate daddy, he may be like, you could talk about my daddy, and would be laughing along with it. Now, I get it, folks, of how our mothers were the main bearers of us when we were born, and after having to go through so many complications while being pregnant with us. I get that, but it wasn't, and let us tell our mamas, the majority of our mamas were only responsible for us coming into this world. But think about how it takes two people, folks, to conceive a child, to help conceive a child. I mean, let's not forget about how our daddies were the main ones to insert his semen into our moms so we could be able to be born in the first place. But yet and still, we are so sensitive, the majority of us, over our mamas. So sensitive to the point whereas they had a show some years back. I don't know if a lot of you may remember it, but it was a show by the likes of Yo Mama that used to come on MTV, either MTV or MTV2. And I found that's a pretty good show. But what about having shows to the same effect about the same name as your daddy? I mean, we are so sensitive to the point where it's ridiculous, and it's sort of funny in a, how could I put it? In a way, I find it funny, but then again, in another way, I find it crazy too, how sensitive we are over our moms as opposed to our daddies. Even if our daddies may have taken full responsibility in regards to being a very responsible parent and a provider the whole while we were kids, we still don't care much about what people may say about our dads. We don't hardly take offense to it at all. As a matter of fact, some of us, while being on the receiving end of hearing an insult about our daddies, in some cases we may join the other person, partake in doing the same thing with the other person, you know, insulting our very own daddies. Now, I get it, there's a lot of deadbeat daddies out there on behalf of it being so many kids being a part of fatherless homes, especially in our community, the African American community. But what about the deadbeat mamas? Even if with that being said, and I'm glad I brought that up, because we'll have some of the most toxic and deadbeat moms, yet and still was go out of our ways to still protect our mothers. I just would never be able to understand that dynamic. Why are we so offended by the little things that are said about our moms, when in some cases they may not be even that offensive? They may be the God honest truth. For instance, if we may have gotten talked about, our mamas may have gotten talked about to the point where our mothers may have gotten called a hoe by a classmate in school. And I think about this, you having all this smoke for the other person who may have called your mama either prostitute, hoe, slut, not realizing in some cases and instances that a lot of us were born into homes whereas we may have siblings, and every last one of our siblings may have different daddies. Think about that. While you getting offended once again by that person who may have called your mama a hoe, either a hoe, a slut, prostitute, any other kind of derogatory name, 304, where back then we didn't call them 304s back during my much younger days, whereas back when I was in either elementary, middle, or high school, unlike now, and due to how every day is a whole new different term created due to social media. But let's just think for a quick minute how some of the things, when I'll put it into perspective, when our mamas may have gotten cracked on back during our much younger days, when we were in our elementary, middle school, high school days. Think about how truthful those things ended up being after all. Even if our mom may have been a very responsible parent or mother in raising us, may have had our siblings all by the same man. For instance, our moms may have gotten called bald-headed, only to realize at the time we wasn't thinking like that. We may have gotten offended by the other person calling our mamas bald-headed, not realizing of how, when we all put it to perspective, the majority of our mothers were the type to have her own hair, her own natural hair, grow her own natural hair. Why? Because so many women, black women, wear weave, if not weave, lace fronts. Because, and when you put that into perspective, our moms that did get cracked on for not having a lot of hair at all, and actually never has had a lot of hair at all. I mean, I'm trying to be serious at the same time. In another sense, I'm being facetious as well. Look that up for some of y'all who may want more clarification into what, on behalf of what I mean by facetious. My whole point of making this video is on behalf of why are we so sensitive towards our moms, on behalf of our moms. And I also wanted to throw this in as well. Think about how it would be times when your parents would get the scrapping, as we say down here in the South, get the fighting, and your daddy may have hit your mama. What will you do? You will usually, in some cases, join in and helping your mama by fighting your daddy off your mama. But let the shoe would have been on the other foot, whereas your mama may have been the first one to put her hands on your dad, how you would have been taking her side. It's just crazy how we put so much emphasis on our mothers, whatever is what it may be, how our fathers may have, for a lot of us that grew up in abusive households, and on behalf of all the times we got so angry to the point where, to the extent where, as we wanted to, in some instances, kill our fathers for putting his hands on our mothers, our biological fathers at that. But yet, instead, if the shoe would have been on the other foot, so to speak, and our mothers would have been the main ones to put her hands on our fathers first, once again, our biological fathers, to the point where she may have beat our daddies to a bloody pulp, we wouldn't have taken any offense to it, wouldn't have given a second thought. Anyways, let me know what you guys think, but by leaving me with your comments. And until next time, by the way, excuse me if I'm always stumbling over my words. And like I said in my very first live from the day, I hardly ever do lives. Is one of the main reasons why I stumble over my words, or have been stumbling over my words so far in all the lives I've been doing. Anyways, I want you to also like this video, share it, and last but not least, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, you guys have a good one.